So welcome to the Fall 2020 TransferCon. This is our EOPS workshop. EOPS supporting transfer goals since 1969. I'm Kamen Ng. I am the Assistant Director and Counselor here in EOPS. We have a couple of our EOPS staff here with us today, so I will have everyone kind of quickly introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with our presentation.
So I'll go ahead and start or continue. My name is Blanca Rodriguez. I'm one of the counselors in EOPNS. I'm also the care coordinator serving the single parent students within our EOPNS program. Welcome.
Teresa.
Hi, y'all. My name is Teresa. I'm an adjunct counselor here at EOPS, and I'll be monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to add it in there.
Thank you. And Sammy.
Hi, my name is Sammy. I'm one of the counseling assistants in EOPS.
Thank you. So these are all of our current EOPS staff. So I will go ahead and start our presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, so again, welcome to our workshop today. For today's agenda, we're going to quickly go over some EOPS history. We're going to talk about, of course, our EOPS transfer services, and then we're going to hear from two of our EOPS alumni speakers and talking about their experience, their transfer experience, and then, of course, their time at Harbor College as an EOPS student as well. And then at the end of our session, we'll have some time for questions and answers. If you have any questions about our program or about our or to our speakers. So really quickly, I'm going to go over the EOPS history. I don't know if a lot of you all know, but EOPS actually birthed from the civil rights movement. And we talk about this in our EOPS orientation. And it's actually a very important piece of information we want everyone to know, but particularly our EOPS students to know, because being in our program in EOPS is, it's very important because this program was created so that everyone have access to higher education. And so I want students to remember not to forget that, so that they will benefit and utilize our services. So back in 1960s, you can imagine that you know, maybe higher education wasn't accessible to a lot of people. Maybe only certain folks with certain privilege are able to attend. So in 1969, a Senate bill was introduced. So Senate Bill 164 says that schools must have programs like EOPS to meet educational needs of all students handicapped by language, social, and economic disadvantages. And in other words, we just want to make sure in California that higher education, college are attainable regardless of what kind of background you come from. And so in September, the Senate bill was signed into law. At that time, Governor Ronald Reagan signed it into law. And so, you know, it's 2020. We've been in service for 51 years. In fact, on September 4th, just a couple of weeks ago, we celebrated our 51 years of service. I'm extremely proud of that. I think all of our staff working in the EOPS are as well. And I think all of our EOPS students are part of this very important legacy. And so I just want to say happy birthday to everybody. And then also, if you are an EOPS student, I hope you'll remember that when you're, you know, as an EOPS student at Harbor College, you continue to utilize our service. You know, when we do our services to you all, it's like you get to do these things. And it's very important that you allow us to help you reach all of those goals as well. So I never end an orientation without sharing this really important fact, because you know, it's honor working for EOPS, and I hope you feel the same as an EOPS student. So quickly, just wanted to share this important history with everybody, and wanted to say happy birthday to everybody as well. So we're going to move on to talking about how our EOPS transfer service support transfer goals. So Blanca will kind of go over, Blanca and I will go over each of these process and services.
So for all of our EOPS students, current EOPS students, there is a mutual responsibility contract. That's the MRC. That's a requirement. It's an agreement between the counselors or our program and EOP&S with the student. The MRC includes 5 things that are required from you. Those 5 things include 3 counseling contacts, a progress report, and a workshop. For each one of our counseling contacts, there is a purpose. Our first counseling contact is always an opportunity to speak with the students about the classes that you're enrolled in, your major, schools that you're planning to transfer to, so that we can then do the research that we need to do to create a student education plan that's going to basically walk you through or towards that journey of completing your associate's degree, possibly at LA Harbor College, and then giving you that opportunity to apply to the universities to transfer and pursue your bachelor's degree. So that's always our first contact. During our second contact, it's always an opportunity to talk to students about their progress in your coursework. So we require students to submit a progress report. And then it gives us an opportunity to talk to you about how you're doing in your classes. If you're doing well, we're going to obviously tell you, pat yourself on the back. Or if you're struggling, we're going to recommend services such as tutoring. And then our third contact is basically wrapping up the semester, ensuring that you're enrolled in the right classes for winter and spring, and then maybe talking about other concerns that you might have in regards to your educational goal or anything else that you might want to discuss with us. And then we require a workshop. The workshop is a requirement more so because we see it more of an opportunity to empower yourself. So workshops are offered through EOP&S, through the Life Skills Center, through the Learning Resource Center, through programs such as the UMOJA or First Year Experience. So these are opportunities for you to listen and gain information that are going to empower you, such as how to address test anxiety, maybe stress reduction, cyberbullying, for example. And then the Transfer Center hosts a plethora of workshops that have to do with transfer in regards to applications, in regard to tag, and so forth. So those are the 5 things that we require in our program. It's very intentional, it's full of purpose, but it's an opportunity for us to talk to you about your educational goal and your journey.
And then we have our priority registration. And so as a lot of you all know, selecting the classes you want, when we're on campus, selecting the time and the instructors of your choice is very important. And a lot of times certain very popular times and instructors get enrolled in very quickly, and then the class closes or there's a wait list. And so EOPS offer our students with priority registration, meaning that you are one of the first groups at Harbor College, actually district-wide, to be able to enroll in your classes. And so that's a great benefit, because if you are, depending on your major, right? I don't know if there's a lot of nursing majors here, but those nursing classes, those science courses are very popular. If you're a STEM major, those physics, chemistry courses, they go very quickly. And so by having priority registration, it ensures that you get to select the classes that you need, particularly, your general education, your transfer major requirements first. And so I hope that you all utilize this service when you're in EOPS. Priority registration is tied to your academic satisfactory. So you do have to make sure each semester you're passing all your classes, obtaining a 2.0 and above.
Okay, so the other great thing that we have in our program that we offer, aside from the counseling service, the priority registration, is the book grant. So every semester, to our eligible students, and again, it goes back to that satisfactory academic progress, you do have to maintain a 2.0 GPA, and you do need to meet the mutual responsibility contract requirements in order to be eligible for a book grant. So EOPS offers a book grant each fall semester and spring semester, usually for the in the amount of $300. And in addition to that, we have a lending library. So for those students that need an additional book, we do have a library in our office. Unfortunately, right now with COVID, we're not utilizing that. But once we're back on campus, you do have access to that lending library that gives you the opportunity to borrow the book for the semester without a cost.
And then we offer 2 free tutoring services, either individual tutoring or group tutoring. This is to, of course, ensure that you are excelling academically. You know, we want to let our students know that tutoring service isn't a service for when you are struggling in a course. We want to make sure you understand that our tutors are there as a support. So even if you're getting an A in your class, we hope that you will use our tutoring service to help you keep that A in the class. So not wait until you may be struggling, or, you know, not just, I tell students like, hey, think of it as a studying support. Sometimes it's fun to study with a buddy. Sometimes it's fun to just talk out a problem with someone who understands the subjects. And so within EOPS, we have 3 excellent tutors that are providing services. We have tutors for a variety of subjects that you may be in. We usually select the more popular subjects, so we definitely have support for Math 227, even the whole calculus series, for chemistry. We have an English tutor who will accept any writing assignment, so not just in your English classes, but maybe in your history or poli-sci class, you have to write a paper. She will help you proofread it and kind of give you some feedback. So never think of tutoring service as a service when you are struggling. Think of it as an opportunity to keep you from, to keep that A in your class. So that's one of our service to help you, because you need to maintain that GPA. So that's how, that's why it's important to tie it into transfer, because it's so important to keep up a excellent GPA when we're thinking about transferring to a university.
And on that note, yeah, so there are minimum GPAs to apply to the universities. You need a 2.0 for the CSUs, you need a 2.4 for the UCs, but those are just minimum GPAs that you have to keep in mind. Obviously, we're always pushing for you to do better, but with that, you know, the intent is for you to transfer to the university. And so when you apply to the universities, we do guarantee for UC and for CSU fee waivers. So we actually pay for your UC and your CSU applications. Right now, they're each $70 each per application. So if you think about that, you're looking at $280 for 4 CSU applications and $280 for the UC application. So it's definitely an opportunity to take advantage of. And then there's also opportunities to where we can reach out to the out-of-state schools in regards to the maybe waiving those fees for the out-of-state tuition, the out-of-state application. So this is another one of our resources that we offer in the EOPS program with assistance with your transfer applications.
And last but not least, the community and network that we build within EOPS is so important, right? You know, we introduced a couple of our staff members. A lot of the people working in EOPS, such as our tutors, our counseling assistants, our student workers, are EOPS students or EOPS alumni. And so it's so important for you to have these connections, because, you know, they can share what, again, their transfer experience is like. They can share with you maybe what instructor or courses they've taken to make these recommendations. And so having a community and network on campus is so important. You know, you recognize some of our counselors here. Maybe you have really close connections with myself or Ms. Blanca or Teresa or any of our counselors. And all of this is helpful, because when you have questions, you know who you can go to. When you need someone to write a letter of recommendation for you, you know our counselors kind of understand who you are, know maybe some of your history. So it's so important to keep that network and community. And this is all part of transfer services we offer. And, you know, looking at all of our participants today, I recognize a lot of our EOPS students. So I hope that for those who are already in EOPS, we got to revisit some of the services we offer and kind of help you frame your mind like, oh, okay, this is how EOPS offer these transfer services. And then for non-EOPS students joining us today, we hope that, you know, maybe you're eligible and you can apply to our program. And so with that said, we are going to move on to our panel, our student speakers. We have Alejandra joining us today, and we have Joseph joining us today. And so I am about to stop sharing my screen so that it can be a more panel and community, so we can see each other's faces. So I'm going to stop sharing. And Ms. Blanca is going to help us facilitate this discussion with our speakers. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Alejandra, will you please introduce yourself, tell us your name, the year that you graduated from LA Harbor College, where you are right now academically, what's your current status, maybe school, work. Take it away, Alejandra.
Hello, everyone. I was going to say good afternoon, but it's still morning. Good morning. My name is Alejandra Peña. I graduated from Harbor College in 2015. I'm currently enrolled in the MBA program at Cal State Long Beach, the Saturdays program. Yeah, I think that's it, right?
Joseph, will you please tell us a little bit about yourself, when you graduated from LA Harbor College and where you are now?
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say, first off, I hope everyone is safe and taking care of themselves and putting, your guys' health first. That's always more important than, I would say, academics in this time right now with COVID-19. So I graduated in spring of 2020, and I am a full-time student at UC Berkeley, majoring in data science, and I'm just starting my bachelor's program, so I haven't got to Alejandra's level yet. That's a little bit about me.
But you will. Joseph, how did EOPS help you reach your transfer goal? And then what would you say was the most valuable EOPS service that you received during your time at LA Harbor College?
So, I mean, all the services, the book grants, the counseling, the tutoring, the having to check off with the grade reports with each professor. So all of those were super valuable, but what I would say the most valuable was, after I looked back on it and thought about it when I was going to talk to everyone here, is the counselors. Cameron, for instance, has known me since I was 17, and I'm 23 now, and Blanca knows me really well as well, but all the counselors, they really do care about you. And I've had programs where they say, like, we're your support, we're your family, and I'm always kind of like, are you being truthful? And then, but with EOPS, they really do value you as an individual, and with those progress reports and all the stuff that they give you, the tutoring stuff, sometimes it can feel like a hassle, but if you continue to do it, that's how the counselors will learn more about you, and you kind of feel like it's like another family, because it really is, and they really want you to succeed, and they really do care about you. And I would probably say the most valuable thing is the connections I've made with Blanca, Cameron, Alejandra. That's probably the most valuable that I've had.
Thank you for that, Joseph. I do have to say that we're very proud of being able to connect with students like that, because we do have a small program. So our program is a little bit over 800 students. And when you compare it to the number of students that are enrolled on campus, which are, I think, 8,000 to 10,000 students, if you think about those 800 plus students, we do really get the opportunity to connect with our students on a one-on-one basis. And thank you, because we want that opportunity to connect with students, and you give us that opportunity. So thank you, Joseph, for that. Alejandra, how did EOPS help you reach your transfer goal? And what do you think was the most valuable resource that you received from us?
So I piggyback on Joseph. All the services are great, like priority registration. It was good to be able to have the class that I wanted and get it at the time that I wanted because of priority registration. But the counseling services definitely are the most important. Sometimes it was like, oh, I have to see the counselor, but then because there was so much things going on, work, school, family. So sometimes it was a thing you had to make time for. But then after coming out of the office, it was like, well, I'm glad that I made time to see the counselor. Because sometimes you think you don't have to see the counselor, like everything's okay now. But then once you get there, you start finding out, oh, I did. Like there's other things I didn't know that now I know. So definitely helped me stay on track as well, into finishing like my degree within like a certain time frame that I had set for myself. So that's what I found most helpful, the counseling services. Oh, and the transfer applications. The transfer applications. That helped a lot too.
Alejandra, can you talk a little bit about your experience with your participation in CARE?
So I was part of the CalWorks and CARE and EOPS program. So all three programs helped a lot, and they each help differently. Well, because the CARE, you get like the CARE grants, and then through the CalWorks, I was getting help like for the child care, and my books. So there was certain times where the book grant for me wasn't necessary from EOPS because I had CalWorks, but there was the counseling services at EOPS that really helped. And through the CARE program, it was just additional help. The workshops that are offered for the CARE students, the parenting workshops, and all the other workshops that I attended really, really did help. So it's like just the whole group of help that's within EOPS.
Thank you for that. Next question, Joseph, will you tell us a little bit about your story? Was there any time, a point where you were discouraged within your educational journey? And if so, how did you overcome that?
So this is the great thing about EOPS is that Cameron has known me since I was 17, and she feels, to a certain extent, she feels like a really close friend, or like a mother figure to me, or just like a parental figure to me, and she knows this. And so during fall 2018, I actually dropped all my classes, and I was doing like terribly in school, and I didn't care if I was going to get A's or B's. I didn't really care. At that particular time, I was in a very low point. I was feeling depressed, directionless, and I think one thing that helped me out, which is, I mean, I had friends and I had family to help me out that entire year. I was just working, kind of getting over, or not getting over, but trying to accept my certain circumstance at that time. And what I will say, at least particularly with Cameron, that we developed a relationship so strong that she was like, "Hey, Joseph, like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Like, talk to me." And she like went above and beyond and was just trying to see what's going on with me. So I would say kind of how I went through that is I had friends, I had EOPS backing me, and I just think just talking it out and maybe sometimes taking a break from school is a little bit helpful, because when I started school, I started literally the summer right after I got out of high school, and I just kept going. And I think taking a break every now and then and just taking a breather was nice. But I think the biggest thing is having a support system, and EOPS definitely really helped with that, because I've always considered at least Harbor College as like a separate entity in terms of like supporting me emotionally. But with EOPS, I never felt that way. I've always felt like they were a support system for me. So.
Yeah, I think the great thing about having these relationships with our students, and it happens, right? I've been working at Harbor College for 10 years now, and I've worked with a variety of students. And sometimes it happens, a student might say, "Oh, I can't, like, I just have to take a break." And I tell them, like, okay, like, that's okay. Sometimes that's what you need. But I always say our door's always open. When you are ready to come back, you come back, right? And so like with Joseph, I'd be like, "What are you doing? Are you ready to come back yet?" And so that's a great thing. That's why that community and that network is so important. And we keep bringing that up because it's, we are here to back you up, and we are here to give you information, and we're here to bring you back. So thank you, Joseph. Yeah.
And sometimes that's all it takes, right? Everyone, we all have different challenges all the time, and sometimes all we need to do is, as students, right, is voice our concerns at the moment, our challenges. And then to a counselor, for example, I have many students that voice their concerns, and sometimes it's just a few words that we can say because we know you, you know, and there are different levels of knowing our students, but we know you. And so the maybe just the sentence of an encouraging or encouraging words will make a difference in that student's life, you know, at that moment, right? So even when it comes to taking classes towards education, you know, like Joseph says, sometimes he had to take a semester off, and that's okay. But sometimes it you know, it could be just, well, why don't you just enroll in one class? And then that one class just kind of keeps you going as well. So it's important for students to make sure that you utilize our services, right? And I'm not just saying that, well, I am, you know, we're in EOPNS and we're here for you, and know that our doors are always open, like Cameron says, and we're always here to hear, listen to you, and we're always going to push you. You know, I feel like for me, you know, for example, it's my job to push you, you know, and depending on your situation, you're going to move on however it fits your lifestyle at that moment. But I think that our conversations do make a difference in regards to your educational journey, in regards to how you're moving forward to reach that goal, that transfer goal of yours. So thank you.
Small thing.
Yes, of course, Joseph.
I was just gonna say that during that time, what is great about the counselors here is that at times it can feel like they'll tell you what is best for you, and it's really nice to see someone like always smile you, because also, you know, Blanca, Cameron, and other counselors, you know, they're humans too. They go through their own stuff, and they have their own traumas, and they have their own problems, stuff like that. But they always greet you with a smile, and they always put your needs first before their own needs. I'm telling you, this is exactly true. It's very true with the case with Cameron, because she was my counselor for the duration at Harbor College, and I will say, like, they are really there for you. It's like no joke. Okay, yeah, I just want to say that.
Thank you for that, Joseph. Alejandra, can you please tell us your story? Were you ever discouraged during your time in your educational journey? You're in school now as well at Cal State Long Beach, and how did you overcome that?
So I was discouraged every day. I would cry every day. No, I'm just kidding. There is a lot of times when you get discouraged, and sometimes it's like missing an assignment for me was like something to make me feel like, oh my God, my grade's gonna go down now, or I couldn't do the homework or whatnot. So those were little discouragements. But then time management was also like a big thing for me. Just because there was times where I felt I was over, like pushing myself a little more than I should. So there was times that I did feel like I had a lot on my plate and I needed to like just relax for a little bit. And there was times that I would just schedule appointments to talk to Kevin or one of the other counselors, because I was feeling like, I was like, they're educational counselors, but then sometimes I use the services as emotional counselors, family therapy, which was really nice. And still, like, as of this day, like I could still count with them. You know, I needed a recommendation letter for my program, and I spoke to Cameron and I said, can I get a recommendation letter for you? So it really helps. And the fact that you see the counselors a lot, they get to know you and your story. So it helps moving forward when you do need that help with a recommendation letter, that they know who you are and your story, so they're able to write that and tell that story to others about you. Still till I mean, the education journey isn't easy, you know. So it's really good to have like a great support system, and that's what EOPS does. It's a support system that's there for you. It eases like the things in many ways, you know, money-wise with the book grants, counseling services when you're feeling that you just don't want to keep going in school, priority registration, making sure you have all the classes you do need and finish within the time frames that you give yourself. So it's just there, and I guess that's that really is what helped me keep going. The pushing. So I know, like in one semester, I think I enrolled into like 21 units. So I needed Cameron to overwrite that because I couldn't get in 21 units. There's an enrollment limit. And I remember Cameron asked me, "Are you sure? Like that's 21 units and you're working?" I was like, yeah, I could do it. I could do it. That was the hardest semester for me, but I was able to get through, you know, but it's always good to have them there.
Thank you, Alejandra. Thank you for that. Joseph, I know that this is your first semester at UC Berkeley. Again, congratulations on that. You're actually, I think, at UC in San Francisco, so I know you're up there. So far, what is your experience like at the university as a transfer student?
I like it. It's different. There's many things that are different. I will say too with the professors is that a lot of the professors are into research. So for me, coming from community college, a lot of the professors are devoted to teaching, which is good. I've had a lot of great professors that are teaching, but it's really interesting when you see the passion in a professor's eyes because they've done like research and they're really, and it's kind of like, it's inspiring and it's a little intimidating because it's like, wow, like this person really cares, like, but they're so busy at the same time. So that was pretty cool. And then another thing, at least at UC Berkeley, I do think that they really try their best to help you succeed. They have workshops, and at least particularly for STEM, computer science or data science majors, we have this thing, a website platform called Piazza, and they always like post things like, okay, we're having it's like a presentation with IBM, Google, Apple, like different technology companies, and that's like a good way to like try to get an internship and stuff like that. And another thing too is they have these 1-unit courses where all they talk about is like career related stuff like resume writing, how to market yourself. And then I would probably say another thing that's really helpful to me being a transfer student and coming to Berkeley is they have a food center. So if I'm lazy or if I don't want to spend money on like groceries, I could just go there and get food, and they usually give you a lot. And what's really nice, at least with Berkeley, it's very big, and you can, there's times where I can feel kind of like, I don't know, it just feels weird, especially with online, and I haven't really been able to make too much connections. But whenever I talk to someone, everybody's like super invested in making sure you succeed. And this is the students as well. I've had tutors that were like in their 20s, 19, and they're like super passionate, and they just want me to understand different topics. And I would probably say those are some pretty good things that I could say about being at UC Berkeley as a transfer student so far.
Thank you, Joseph. Alejandra, if you can answer that question, what is your experience? I know you have your bachelor's degree, maybe talk about that, and then what your experience was in undergrad, and then what your experience is now with your MBA program. Thank you.
So I feel like for being a transfer student, just it's kind of like an advantage over other students, you know, because you get to have that experience, and it's similar. I don't see it as any different, the college classes to the ones at the university, to be honest. So it just like, it's a little easier at the college, but it gets you at least started to where you have to go, you know, whereas when you go straight to the university, I feel, and I know a lot of people, it's just they always come and tell me, oh my God, it's so hard. How did you get your degree? Like, how did you manage the time? But I feel that being a transfer student really helped, because like I said, it eased that experience of going into the classes, because you had already gone through it at the community college level. And that same thing applies now with my MBA. Like it's still the same thing. The classes are still the same. You still have homework. You still meet with the instructors, you know. It's just the amount of work I have now is a little bit different than what I had in undergrad, but deadlines are still there. So if you've had your community college time, to figure out how deadlines work. Then you get within your bachelor's, you still do that, and then you follow it along to your next programs. So I feel that being a transfer student in that sense really, really helps. It gets you started.
I think one of the biggest fears for students is that, right? The change and the transfer, I'm going to call it a transformation, but the transferring over to the university. But I think that at the community college, you've already had the opportunity, like Alejandra, to learn those time management skills, to learn about the expectations. But I also feel that you've had the opportunity to really complete what I think is going to be the hardest part of that journey, because once you transfer, then you're focusing on your major courses. This is what your passion is, right? This is the career that you want to go into. So I think that transferring makes it easier simply because you're done with general education courses. I mean, who wants to take another, I don't know, history class, right? Like, well, how does that relate to my business? And so once you transfer over to the university, you're taking classes that you're actually going to learn from and apply to the career that you're in. So I do think that it is maybe not easier, but I think that you've already learned at the community college, you've learned the tools that you need to be able to transfer without so much of a challenge. You know, again, the deadlines are still there, the assignments are still there, but I think that the community college is giving you that opportunity to learn those skills. So thank you, Alejandra, for that.
Could I add something?
Of course.
Now that you mentioned that, it's actually funner because now you don't have to take those sciences classes that you know. Well, for me, it was the science classes that I was like, why do I have to take a science class if I'm gonna be preparing accounts for people? How is that relevant? So I felt that once I transferred over, it was actually easier because it, like you said, it's just taking your core for what you actually want to go for.
Correct. Thank you. And then Alejandra, if you can answer, what transfer advice would you give our current students, EOPS students, and the students that are not EOPNS on this panel? What's your advice for them?
Definitely get involved if you can. So you could meet other people. Networking helps a lot. Especially like, because I mean, we're all going to school for one reason, right? To get more educated, but at the same time to get a better job or get a job that we want. So I feel that networking really, really helps, and it helps open up so many doors. And the reason I say this is because at a certain point after I graduated, I was unemployed, you know? So, but thanks to the networking I had done when I was at the community college, I was able to get a job, and now I'm working for a community college, Trade Tech Community College. But if it hadn't been for the networks that were created, I don't know how long it would have taken me to find a job. So yeah, get involved. Live in the library if you have to, you know, be there. Because for me, it was like, oh yeah, I'll get work done when I get home. But then you get home and there's other things that could be done at home, and then it was just getting distracted. Because then I would see something, or like for me, it was like if I saw a dirty dish, I was like, oh, let me just wash the dishes real quick. And then I would see another thing, oh, let me just sweep real quick. I would just do the homework later. So if you can be in a place with no distractions, where it's just you and whatever homework you have, that really helps as well. And then time management. Know that you have to sleep within a day, you know, you have to eat within a day. Transportation right now isn't really an issue because most of us are just home. But take all that in time, because sometimes when you, at least for me, when I would schedule like a lot of things that I had planned to do in the day, and then I wasn't aware that I still had to eat, you know, so then I ate, and then I was like, oh, well, now I don't have time for this anymore. So time management, really, really like be conscious of your time and your own time, to give yourself like your own time. I know for me, it was always school, everything, you know? So giving myself, now that I'm in my MBA program, I actually have Sundays off. So Sundays, no work, no school, nothing. It's just me. No cleaning, nothing at all. It's just me, because you need that time. If not, you're gonna end up being really exhausted. And even if you sit down and try to study on Sunday, you could study, but it's not really studying, because you're not really, you're thinking about other things. But that day of refreshment just helps to get back on it.
Thank you, Alejandra. And Joseph, if you can please give any advice that you have regarding transfer to our students, anything that you would suggest. Can you talk about that?
Yes, of course. One thing I'll say is don't be too hard on yourself. I mean, one thing that that I found hard coming to UC Berkeley was that I kind of defined my identity with my grades, and I like, that's another thing that I didn't really like, because like the whole point of college is to get skills, get a skill set, and get a job ultimately. And I think when I was focusing too much on grades as opposed to skills, I felt that there were some skills that I didn't fully learn, but I just learned it enough just to get a good grade. And so one thing that I would probably say is when you're resting, rest. Or when taking a break, take a break. When you're working on something, work on it. It's okay to say no to a study session if you say no, but if you know you have to study, but you choose not to, then you're procrastinating. But it's okay to take breaks. And I used to be very extreme with my study habits, and I've changed that. And another thing too, like I said, I think it's better to work on developing skills and developing a skill set that you get from a particular class. Because if you develop that skill set and you develop it well, the grades will come. And there were some classes where I felt that I wasn't the best at doing that. And that's probably something that I would like more, because I would say some of the classes here at UC Berkeley, some of the stuff I have to refresh, but some, like, you know how you can like refresh something, but then you have to actually like relearn something as opposed to refresh. Refresh is usually not as time consuming, but there's some stuff where I have to kind of relearn because I didn't learn it well. And then another thing too is like when you get to the transfer, at least for me, I started thinking a lot like, what do I want to do with my life? Like, what career do I want? How do I market myself? Because like after 2 years, I'm done. Like I want to work, and I'm like, do I have any internships? No. Do I have any skill sets that an employer, for me particularly, I'm interested in software engineering, and I asked myself, do I have any projects? No. Do I have any skill sets related to programming? No. And so what I would recommend, and Cameron told me this before too, but another thing about being hard on myself is that it was very, people would tell me things that have been there, and I would listen, but I wouldn't actually listen and like put it into practice. And I think that's part of me being young and being immature. And I think when you're at the Harbor College, when you guys are here at Harbor College studying and stuff, is on the side, even if it's an hour every day or 30 minutes, because as the years progress, all that practice will like be like a big rolling ball, like a snowball going down like a hill. And I think it's best to try to get internships, or try to at least explore companies that you're interested in and see what they offer, and try to see like, okay, what can I do to develop those skills on the sides as part of studying, because you want to set yourself up really well to get a job once you get out of college. Because I know for me, I don't want to be a college student and graduate and not have an offer. Like that would really suck. And so I wish for me with the transfer thing is, one thing that's like messing with me is I'm like, okay, how am I going to get a job once I'm done with school? And that kind of really bothers me, because I did well in school, but the whole point is getting a job as well. And I would probably say that, and just like Alejandro said, I would say time management, and just preparing yourself for whatever job you want to get into. I would say just don't focus too much on school. Like focus on school, of course, but also enjoy yourself, enjoy the time, enjoy exploring different things. And when you're taking a break, take a break. When you're studying, study, stuff like that.
Thank you, Joseph. I'm gonna just pinpoint on two things. What Alejandra said, which I think is very important. She said, live in the library. I think that it is important to, you pick a space, right? Because when you come to class, or when you're in class right now virtually, that's just you being in class, but you also have to make sure that you're dedicating time after those class times to really, like Joseph said, learn it well. You know, it's important to understand the material and learn it well. And you don't do that while you're in class listening to lecture. You do that afterward when you're reviewing your notes and you're really understanding the material. So that's very, very important. And with that, you know, right now we're home, but or even at home, you can find some time after class, you know, when you don't have to tend to those other obligations, right? Washing dishes, sweeping, or whatever else, you know, find some time, define some time so that you could actually learn those skills well, but then also managing your time so that you can do those other things that are important too, as well as including self-care. So that's very important. I think that learning it well is important, building these skills now. So you take advantage of the community college now, right? You take advantage of those classes, learn those skills so that when you do transfer, again, it's seamless. It's easier. Like Alejandra mentioned earlier, I think it just becomes easier because you've already built those skills. So that's very important, you know. And I think in regards to transfer, it's, and grabbing it back to the first slide in regards to our contacts with counselors, you know, it's important that you're having these discussions with your counselors about your transfer plans so that we can do the research and create that the best student education plan that you can, so that you're ready and eligible to transfer. And those include not only the research for the individual schools, but looking at transfer degrees and then looking at UC tags, for example, which is a transfer admission guarantee program that is available to you. So Alejandra and Joseph, we thank you very much. We're going to ask the students, do you have any questions for Alejandra and Joseph at this point in regards to transfer and their experiences? And you can unmute yourself, or if you're too shy to ask, you can post a question on the chat box.
I have a question for Joseph. So I'm sorry if I wasn't, I was doing something, so I want to ask him about, he said that he never took a break from high school. Did he ever take a break while transferring to UC Berkeley?
So right when I got out of high school, I actually took a break like 2 years into Harbor College. I remember I was like fall, winter, spring, summer, fall, winter, spring, summer. And I remember Cam was like, are you sure? Are you sure? It's okay to take a break. And there was one winter where I actually kind of felt overwhelmed and I actually dropped a class. And for one thing with me, when I first started, I never wanted to drop a class. I wanted to, like, if I do it, I want to just do it once and be done with it. And I realized that I started to kind of burn out. And so I did take a break. Like go ahead, sorry.
No, you were saying that you burned out?
Yeah, and then when I got discouraged, I actually took a year off of school. And I think what I could have done better was kind of spend maybe winter or maybe some winters and some summers doing something that I want to do. And that could be anything. Like, so, you know, if you do well in a semester and then you're like, okay, I want to take this semester off and just enjoy myself because I've earned it, that's okay. And I think if you're good at, you know, going back to back, then I say by all means do it. But for me, I eventually burned out and it didn't sustain in the long term.
Okay. Yeah, because me currently, I'm 19, I got out of high school and I haven't stopped at all. I haven't, probably took one off semester and I'm feeling like I'm burning out, and then I don't want to transfer. And then when I have to be focused in the big schools, like I don't want to be down. So thank you for the advice.
Of course, of course.
All right, Blanca, so in the chat, we have a question from Janelle. Please explain the transition for a care student and having financial support after transferring.
Before I answer that question, Janelle, I just want to, I just want to go back to Clarissa real quick. Clarissa, and to everyone else in the panel, I think it goes back to time management, right? So how many units are you taking per semester? You have to factor in everything else that's going on in your life, right? Do you work? Do you have family? Do you have other responsibilities? And being able to manage that time. Are you, if you're taking 21 units like Alejandra was at some point, she said that was the most overwhelming semester that you have. And so really understanding your limitations, I think we always, I think that it's important to challenge yourself. That is always important, but also understanding your limitations. If you can't do 12 units, you can only do 9 units, and do 9 units. It doesn't mean that you have to stop going to school, but it does mean learning how to understand your learning, how you learn, and how much you can actually handle. So it comes down to time management, and of course, the support systems that you have. So I wanted to share that with Clarissa and the panel, that's important as well. So Janelle, your question, please explain the transition for a care student.
That could be for Ale as well.
Yeah, I think Alejandra maybe can answer that.
Alejandra, can you maybe answer that?
So for me, I was able to get help until I finished my bachelor's degree. But that was through not Care helped me when I was at Harbor, but once I was at Dominguez, they actually helped me with some forms that I needed, because I was getting like the CalWorks. So you know how with CalWorks, I'm not sure if you have like the progress reports, the monthly reports, the book request reports that you turn in, all that stuff. They still helped me fill out all those forms at Dominguez. But it was more so with my GAIN CalWorks worker that I had to talk to and let them know that I was transferring. But they did help me throughout the whole 2 years at Dominguez too.
And then, so there isn't an EOPS program at the universities. There's what's called EOP. And every school, some schools will not admit transfer students, some schools do. There is no care program that serves single parents, but there is a program that serves transfer students. So it's looking at those resources that are available for transfer students, so that the support services that are available for transfer students, and the universities do have that. But financially, I think that what Alejandra said, it's important for care students, if we have any care students who are eligible students for CalWorks, that you actually participate in CalWorks, because CalWorks, I want to say will, but may cover your educational expenses at the university level.
Yeah, and it's on a case by case scenario. So that's something that they would have to talk to with their GAIN CalWorks worker.
All right, so maybe one more question in the chat box before we wrap up. So from Gabrielle, if we are in EOPS right now at Harbor College, are we going to have the opportunity to have fee waivers for the applications opening in October?
Yes, so all current EOPS are entitled and eligible for the 4 CSU and 4 UC applications. So if you're a current EOPS student, and congratulations, it's time for you to apply. It's, October and November is coming up. Yes, in the application, it will ask you if you are an EOPS student, and you would put yes, and at what college. And then, it should go through. If you are having problems, sometimes a handful of students will have problem and they'll say they're not eligible. Just contact connect with your EOPS counselor, and there may be a separate waiver that we will have to complete to certify that, yes, you are an EOPS student, and then it should be no problem. So just maybe an extra step if you're not automatically approved for the fee waiver. Let's see. Well, it is 11:57. I just want to say I had a great time this last hour. I want to thank our panelists, Alejandra and Joseph, for being here with us today. They talked a lot about our program, but I also want to say that, they're both great students. They are hard workers. They really put in a lot of time when they were at Harbor College. We were actually just a support into, their academic journey. And so, for all of our students here today, just know that EOPS is a support. You do all the hard work. You're the one who's going to class all day. You're the one who's, learning the materials. You're the one getting those A's. And so, we want to let you know we are a form of support, and we're your cheerleaders. We are your champions. And so we're here to kind of alleviate some of the additional barriers that you may be facing. But you do all the hard work. You're the student. And so I want to thank everybody, Teresa and Blanca, for being here today as well. And if you have any last minute questions, we'll probably be here for another 5 minutes. But thank you all for being here today. Again, I had a great time. So if anyone else wants to chime in with any last words, I think Joseph and Alejandra shared their email in case you want to reach out to them. They are generous in offering any additional support after this workshop. So thank you for that.
I just wanted to say to Carmen and Blanca and everybody here, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to everyone here. It's really an honor, and I'm a little overwhelmed that people want to hear what I have to say. Out of everybody in the whole wide world, me, like, it's just crazy. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be invited to speak with all of you. It means a lot.
Thank you, Joseph, for joining us. Thank you, Alejandra, as well. Thank you.
You
Yeah,
all are
thank you.
EOPS legacy. You are all, you're all EOPS.
Thank you.